Amber Dawn was ready to sleep for the first night after arranging her belongings in her new apartment. Moving to a new place can be exhausting and stressful at times, but it brings hope for the start of a new chapter in life. Amber lay down on her bed. Her body began to grow sluggish, and her mind transitioned from wakefulness to sleep until a sound interrupted her. The sound was coming from the ceiling above her room. It sounded like footsteps, but it's normal for buildings to produce sounds from thermal expansion, pipes, and such. We all hear these kinds of noises in our homes, right? We're not supposed to pay them any attention. Amber Dawn was a young American woman. In the late 1990s, when she was 20 years old, Amber moved to live in a small county in Washington state called Enamclaw. Enamclaw was a small, rainy area year-round, and Amber chose it to be close to her brother and his wife, who lived in the same area. Amber picked a small apartment in a residential building overlooking a beautiful natural view. The apartment consisted of one bedroom with a small connected bathroom, along with a living room, dining area, and kitchen. It was considered a good start for a 20-year-old woman, her first independent living space. After her first night in the apartment, Amber wasn't comfortable with the sounds she had heard in her room that night. The noises seemed to be coming from the attic directly above her room, which had a small hatch in the ceiling. Amber spoke to the landlady about the sounds. The landlady said it might be a squirrel or a raccoon, as they were common in the area. Usually, we hear these explanations and accept them because they're the most likely. Amber was convinced and continued her life in the new apartment. At that time, Amber was a busy person. She worked 3 part-time jobs, spending her days assisting an accountant, working at a pharmacy, and also serving as a waitress at a restaurant at night. Because of all this work, Amber didn't spend much time in her apartment. Most of the time, she left the apartment to her pets, 2 cats and a small puppy. Some days, Amber noticed strange things in the apartment. These might have been small details, but Amber was an observant and detail-oriented person, so she noticed them. For example, some of her grocery items would go missing from the kitchen. She might buy 6 cans of soda, drink 1 at home, take 1 with her to work, and by the end of the day, only 3 would remain in the fridge. Maybe she had miscounted. Maybe she had drunk 3 cans during the day. No one pays much attention to these details in their life, but these incidents kept happening frequently to Amber. She would leave some doors inside the apartment open and return to find them closed. Some objects would move from their places, but all minor things. Most people wouldn't notice, and if they did, they'd likely blame their memory. Amber noticed these things but assumed her brother, who had a key to the apartment and visited occasionally, was responsible. The apartment also had pets, so it wasn't impossible for things to move around from time to time. One night, Amber was working at the restaurant when she received a call from the landlady. She told her there was a major leak from her bathroom affecting the neighbors downstairs. Amber hurried back to the apartment. She opened the bathroom door and found the floor covered in water, and her small puppy completely dry, sitting on the sink. The dog was tiny, and it was impossible for it to jump from the floor onto the sink. There was nothing near the sink for it to climb on. Amber always closed the bathroom door on the puppy when she left because it was still learning to do its business in the right place. But what had put it on the sink? Amber asked the landlady, suggesting that maybe someone had entered with spare keys because of the leak and placed the dog on the sink to keep it dry. But the landlady denied it. Despite the strange occurrences in the apartment, Amber always reminded herself that Enamclaw was a safe area. The county was small, its residents peaceful, and it had no history of crime. Plus, she lived near her brother and his wife and could reach out to them if needed. Amber continued living in the apartment for 6 months, leaving daily for work, until one day when she felt ill and decided to stay home all day for the first time since moving in. She called her managers and informed them she was sick and wouldn't be coming in. That night, Amber was sitting in the living room watching TV when she suddenly heard a thud, like something falling, from the direction of her bedroom. Amber assumed it was one of her pets and continued sitting in the living room. Around 11 p.m., Amber turned off the apartment lights and prepared a warm bath. She lit a candle and relaxed in the tub until she noticed the attic hatch was open. Amber took a moment to process the situation. The strange noises, the moving objects, the missing food, the puppy on the sink, and now the open attic hatch. The picture was clear now. Amber was not alone in the apartment. Quietly, without making a sound, Amber stepped out of the bath and wrapped herself in a towel. As she left the room, she caught her reflection in the closet mirror and realized the person who had been in the apartment with her had nowhere to hide except that closet. So they must be inside it now. Amber left the room and hurried to the phone. Underneath it was a small toolbox with maintenance tools. Amber grabbed a hammer as a weapon to defend herself and called her brother's house. Her sister-in-law answered, and Amber told her someone was in the apartment with her. Her sister-in-law told her to get out immediately. Amber grabbed her puppy in one hand and the hammer in the other, rushing straight out of the building, praying she wouldn't see the person who had been living with her. Amber made it out of the building, and within minutes, her sister-in-law arrived. She got in the car, and they headed straight to her brother's house, where they called the police. The police searched the apartment but found no one. Whoever had been inside must have escaped before they arrived. In the attic, police found a sleeping bag, a book, and food scraps. Amber Dawn moved out of the apartment the very next day. To this day, Amber doesn't know who that person was, what their story was, how they got in and out, or how long they had been living in the apartment. And you, what's your theory about what happened with Amber? Share me your thoughts in the comments down below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Bye.